You know, we shouldn't be insular, we should very much be outward looking and saying, okay, where can we affect change? The church has a massive part to play in changing communities. Yeah, so I started in 2018. I was asked by the local council if I could come and deliver a talk about gangs and county lines and drugs involvement. So I kind of hadn't done that before, it was something new, but I had awareness from experience of old of some things that I'd seen and some things I'd been through myself. It was a beautiful thing, to be honest, in my journey into kind of getting into the prison work. I went from like the church youth work setting where people would say, oh, that's easy work. It's not easy work doing church work. But then I felt God was always prompting me to kind of work with the harder kids. So I went into a school, I became a behaviour supervisor, helping with the kids who were making bad choices and mentoring those kids. But I always felt that there were harder kids to reach, and I was getting sort of prophetic words about prisons and light in the prison cells and going in, and there was lots of stuff that was happening at that time, and I kind of felt I want to work in prison with these young people. I feel like I'm equipped to go and do that now. So when I went in there, it was helpful because I felt like it was a time of learning for me, a time of understanding these kids who are going into prison, who are from so many different backgrounds, from care homes, those with SEN needs, and those who are single parent homes, those who are just on the street because of choices that have been taken away from them, lack of opportunities. So it helped me to understand things. And if I was to give an example, I'd say that there was a young boy I remember working with in prison who he was 16 years old and he used to be a footballer, and he basically, we'd been in a session and he was reflecting. And I remember he said there in the room, he said, you know what, I wish I could go back to when I was 13. And I understood what he meant, and I knew what he meant, because he knew that at that stage of his life, something got taken away from him. He could have been a footballer, but he had no transportation to get to the ground every Sunday. His mum never had any car or transportation for him. And it made me just think, you know what? That's a sad situation, because the only option that he felt that he had was to get involved in his local gang or the area that he grew up in, to be consumed by that area. No one was there to pick him up and take him to football on a Sunday. And I felt sorry for him, because he didn't want to be in prison. He didn't want to be there. But he's just caught up in this pressure cooker, an environment where he's just consumed. And now I can't do football. Well, what's left for me? I'm not good in education. I'll get involved in the gangs. So there's a lot of things I learned from these kids there, but I love these kids. I have a real heart for these kids from all different backgrounds, especially orphans. What can the church do? Like, the church can do so much. You know, if you've got a big church with big congregation and you're getting tithes and you have finances there that can support, you have transportation links, you have a space that's open for these kids, how much more could you do to affect change? You know, we shouldn't be insular, we should very much be outward looking and saying, okay, where can we affect change? Do we have money to build an orphanage somewhere down the road? Do we have any money to build a community centre? Do we have money to do this? So we see kids that are going through exploitation and grooming themselves, and we're seeing kids who are in dysfunctional homes, kids who are from deprived background. The church has a massive part to play in changing communities. If I ever talk to a youth leader or someone who's in a church teaching kids, I always say to them, look, your work doesn't just start and begin or end on a Sunday. You know, it's outside of Sunday where you're really going to get to know these kids, really get to know the families, really understand their issues and what they're facing. So when you do come on a Sunday, they appreciate that, they see it, and they know the genuine heart that you have to want to help them. I think that's really important. The compassion, the empathy, and the care that you show them will go a long way, and that's relational. And I think that's a big part of my job in what I do. You know, I've worked across different schools, just in terms of the work I've done with my county lines work. So I've been to private schools, independent schools, PRUs, and yeah, I've got to see a lot. And I think there are vulnerabilities there within certain settings. I think every school have vulnerable students that are in each year group. Every school has students that may be classified as disruptive or those with needs, but some are in school with needs that have not been identified. You're in schools where teachers maybe are not culturally sensitive to the environments that they're in, and they want to be in certain schools to teach, but they don't know how to speak to that black kid or the Indian or the Chinese or the Turkish. So I think that cultural sensitivity is another big issue. Teachers can be looking out a lot more around the school as well, identifying slang, identifying conversations, being more aware just kind of ears open to things, eyes open to things, reporting things quicker rather than later. I think then we can be, as an educational establishment, more equipped to step in and say, okay, this child needs something, what should we do? I think when I go into a school and I teach these kids about county lines, I'm kind of saying, look, don't just look out for yourself, look out for your friends, look out for your family members, look out for those who you can kind of reach out to or tell your parent or your carer or the school about someone that you're concerned about. And I think that's where it comes about loving your neighbour, you know, and not just looking out for yourself, but looking out for others as well. Yeah, I think some kids will withdraw themselves from friends. They might sort of have 2 phones on them. Some kids might look dishevelled maybe in certain situations. Some kids aren't turning up to school. As a form tutor, I think you're the first point of contact there. You know, you can spot some signs early, trends and patterns. You know, I think they should be speaking to the Senko and the welfare officers in schools to find out a wider picture of what our kids are going through, head of years to identify those vulnerable groups within schools. So then you can basically put in the right interventions for those kids and take on some kids. If I'm doing non-teaching roles ahead of year, I want to take on some kids to mentor and to speak life into them. I think there needs to be more teacher training, more teacher awareness made on county lines, definitely. They need that, and they need basic things. They need food, warmth, clothing, love, belonging. They need all of these things which will contribute towards Maslow's hierarchy of needs, so they can actually aspire to be something. They can say, you know what, I have aspirations now. I had a dad track me down after assembly who said that his son was in my assembly and he was approached in McDonald's and he was able to make the right choice because he'd heard your assembly. Something that really touched my heart. So I put it on my website on the front page just to kind of like, you know, tell the world that actually these presentations are doing something to really save lives. So we need more schools, we need more people doing what I do and educating young people across the nation about this issue to give our kids a chance. And I think that's what I try to do.